Okay, Thursday morning in the kingdom, and there's no wind. It was unreal, the wind yesterday, and it didn't die down. So we woke up this morning to no wind, which was nice. Plus 9 Celsius, but feels like plus 9. And then on the yo-yo scale, plus 48 Fahrenheit, but feels like 48. Yes, the 48 Chevy sedan delivery over there. And also, too, the mining company last night was notifying the locals. Yes, the locals, because of their forest fire. Yes, it's a forest fire when your debris piles catch on fire in the wind. All right, so they started back in January, cleaning off the mine site, making it wider. So all these toothpick trees are bulldozing up into a pile and burning it. So the month of February, we had lots of smoke and everything like that. And these is a mining company that's promoting Tier 4 equipment, zero emissions. But no, we'll have a forest fire and burn trees for 5 frickin' months. Yes! I don't know why the government of Manitoba let them do it. They should have made them mulch it all up, and then they'd have mulch to cover their mess, And mulch is biodegradable or whatever, dissolves or soaks into the soil. So look at that. Look at all the smoke. So these guys here, like I've said all along, they can't control Dick in his helicopter. Wait till they go mining, and it's going to be 100% gong show. So they got like the Amazon rainforest slash and burn technology. Yes, I just shake my head. Now, if they could control Dick, like 40 years ago, if Dick flew over my house and endangered my life, I'd phone Toronto and tell him, hey, this guy's going to crash in my house. And then the guys in Toronto would phone Dick, staying at the hotel, playing his Atari Game Boy, whatever, and tell Dick if he flies over the old guy's house one more time, he'll never fly again in the country of Canada. But nope, not in the new world. You can't control a helicopter for 6 years. So let's see you go mining, and they're making a mess. Hopefully they get charged, because that's unreal. Because if the fire wind changed and we burn out WHO-ville, or like they were saying, to giving people notice at the Birch Lake cottage country. Yes, the cottage country. Get ready, the fire could end up your way. But unreal. But how would you get brush piles pushed up and burn them in the winter when how would you say it, ground is frozen, and then when the wind comes along and restarts them? I just shake my head. And it's not the first occasion. They've had it happen numerous times. So that tells you it's a gong show mining company. And I predicted it all along. We still haven't figured out where they're getting the gold, because the last 2 companies that mined these properties, once the government incentives quit, after 2 years, they closed up and disappeared out of town. And they only had 100 people working for them. Not these guys. There's going to be 400 people mining the same gold. Frickin' real. So I'm all smiles when I seen them. Oh, we got a little fire out of control. No shit. What a gong show. All right, so there's the smoke. So we'll be on high alert. We might have to haul water to protect the kingdom. Yes, in May. And also, too, the forest fire they got going out there, they can't water bomb it because all the lakes are still frozen. So we have to haul water from the river. Frickin' real. But that's the new world we live in. Upper management is dumb. Dumb. They couldn't get a job anywhere else, so they put him in upper management. Yes, and that goes the same with the government. So now that I've insulted everybody, I'll go back to being me, having fun as the retired old guy, holding a stick, working on his obsolete equipment, and getting ready for my estate sale at the Barrett-Jackson auction. Yes. Oh, hopefully they get top dollar for the collectibles. Seems how they're all going to be painted the same color, black. Well, I better go before I offend anybody else. Oh, well, here comes the boss. He'll be upset. Well, isn't that great? I'm doing the intro here, thump, 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 and the woodpecker's back. So we did the other 2 holes up there, so we found this caboose. Now I gotta go get a piece of plywood and put it over. Unreal. I hate woodpeckers. Where's Jack? Jack needs a new friend. New dinner for lunch. Yes, a woodpecker. Okay, after morning coffee, the internet's dead. Yes, Facebook, everything's dead and quiet, but I don't know. I think I'm in the bad books. Yes, I'm being censored. Yes, but oh well, who cares? So I put a piece of scrap plywood over the woodpecker hole. Hopefully you'll probably hammer on it again or go to the other side of the caboose. We got the traders 1 and 2 open because I was in there after I walked the dogs to get one of these. Yes, we need one of these. So this is the joys of having money and not spending it foolishly on women. We buy inventory. Yes, Jack, we can hear you. All right, so that's what we need for electrical plug on the 48 Chevy sedan delivery. for down here. Yes, we're going for the 4 flat plug, or whatever they call it, old school. We're not going for the 7 flat bladed plug for the RV. That's too new school. But that's all we need is 4 wires, because we got some lights. And then we're going to have to move things around over there to get organized. Yes, get organized. The staff will be over shortly. Yes, we got a work day starting.
Thursday morning in WHO-ville, it's almost 10 a.m. and as you can see, the sun is shining. There is some clouds in the sky, but it's nice and warm and not windy compared to yesterday. Now I have to head over to the Kingdom and drop off the sump pump so my dad can pump out the pit. Got the quad out and my extra sump pump in the back there. Now I can head over to the Kingdom and drop it off so my dad can pump out the pit in the new shop, and then he can do some work on it. 10 a.m. and I made to the Kingdom and dropped off the sump pump. My dad is going to be pumping out the pit in the new shop. That way he can park the 48 sedan delivery over top and do an oil change and a quick little service. There's actually not that much water in there. It's mostly ice. Got all the garden hose out. Now we'll string this out over to the black tank there, which is in behind the water tank, and we'll see how much hose we need. Then my dad can start pumping out the pit. Only had to use 2 rolls of the garden hose. Now my dad has it into the tank there and he can start pumping out of the pit behind me. Got the sump pump all hooked up. Now my dad is going to tape the little buoy here to keep it up. That way it doesn't stop pumping. This is my spare sump pump from the house in WHO-ville. I have one in my basement that's running mostly all season as soon as it gets wet out there. Got the sump pump in the hole. Now we'll head over to the black tank and see if it's pumping the water over. That is a fair distance for it to go. Over at the black tank, I'm not sure if you can see that, but the water is going into the tank, and that is good because it's a fair distance from the pit over to this black tank by the house. Almost 10:30 and I'm officially done in the Kingdom for this morning, so I'll head on back into WHO-ville and wait for lunch. When I come back at 1 or 2 p.m., we'll get the green toy started and lift out these 2 tanks and flip the fancy trailer over. 10:30 and I just made back from the Kingdom. Now I'll head inside and let the dogs out and wait for lunch. As you can see, the wind is starting to pick up.
Okay, 11:15, and there's a slight breeze, not like yesterday, but it's still smoky here thanks to the new mining company. Oh, it's only going to get worse. We had the loader running, we moved to 39. We're going to have to take these fuel tanks out. It was a good idea, but then again, we never used the trailer for 2 summers, and then all of a sudden we need it. So we put the fuel tanks in, so now we have to, take the fuel tanks out, put them on the pallets. So we're going to use the green toy because the green toy hasn't run since last year, or last fall, and we have new batteries in. All right, so we're going to do this. Plans are always changing every day here, just like my underwear, which is a good thing. All right, so if things didn't change, it'd be boring like a marriage. So we got the hood open. It's not windy, so you can actually open the hood. It's way up there, yes. So here's the 855 Cummins in the green toy. And it's got the Jake brakes. That's why the bump in the hood up there. Can you see that, Les Nesman? Way up there? Yes, way up there. So this is the motor. We spent a lot of money on it back in 2019. Okay, I'm back. The Me phone's censoring me. I don't know why. I may reached up nice and high, but here's the 855 Cummins. We spent a lot of money on it in 2019. New rad hoses, new hose clamps, new block heater, new starter, new alternator, new. There it starts every time. All right, so we have this thing up and running. I'll see if I can set the Me phone up, but I have to stay close over here because I gotta watch the pumps. There's the garden hose going to the tank over there, and we have the pump over here, so I can't be on the other side of the yard. I must man the pumps. Yes, man the pumps. All right, let's set the Me phone up and record the great startup. Okay, lunchtime in the Kingdom. Let's go burn some lunch in the microwave. Oh, it's going to be so tasty. Flame broiled.
12 p.m. and I'm just getting ready to make lunch. I'll be having leftovers from last night, so let's head inside and let the dogs out. They've been in and out most of the morning. It is pretty nice out here. At least it's not windy. Almost 1 p.m. and I'm just finishing up lunch. This is the temperature we're sitting at right now. It's 17 degrees Celsius, which is 62 degrees Fahrenheit. We even have the feels like on the bottom. Looks like it's going to be a nice day, and it's still getting windy out there, so let's head inside and get ready, then go over to the Kingdom and see what my dad's doing right now. 1 p.m. and I made it to the kingdom. I have the headset on that I was using yesterday, but I put a sock over the mic, so hopefully it dampens the background noise. Now let's head down to the shop, and it looks like my dad's going to get the green toy started so we can move things around. Down at the new shop, and my dad's going to get the green toy started and pull it ahead. That way we don't hit the hydro lines right in here, and then he can pick up this slip tank and move it onto the pallet. Then we can use the loader to pick up that one. Got the one slip tank off, no problem. Now my dad's going to pick it up with the loader and move it out of the way, and then we can use the loader to get the silver slip tank off. 1:30, we just got the slip tanks moved out of the way. Now we'll unhook from the 39, and then my dad can get the green toy started, and we'll flip over the fancy trailer so my dad can give it a quick service and do some welding on it. Now my dad will get the green toy started, and we can hook onto the fancy trailer and flip it around. I'll be switching over to the tripod because I have to help my dad flip the trailer over, so I'll get everything set up. Got the fancy trailer flipped upside down, no problem. Now my dad can service it and do some welding. We'll be pulling the 38 up with the welder, that way it's easier for him to work on. Doesn't look too bad. Almost 2 p.m. We just moved the 38 up beside the fancy trailer so my dad can do some welding and work on it. I'm going to head into WHO-ville and go check the mail and see if there's anything in the mail today. 2 p.m. and I just made it back from checking the mail. There was 2 boxes today. The first box had a bunch of toner for the printer, and then the other box had my dad's work glasses. As you can see, these are the ones that he wears in all of his videos. He was able to get 2 boxes off of eBay, so that's pretty cool. Good thing everything came before this so-called mail strike is supposed to start. Like my dad is just going to work on the fancy trailer and change all the lights on it. And of course it is starting to get windy out here, so I'll grab my dog treats and head on back into WHO-ville and do the weather at 4:35 p.m.
Okay, that went well. It's probably been 6 months since I ran the green toy, but just like riding a bicycle, it's easy to remember once you get on. Yes, just like in the bedroom, it's easy to remember. Okay, so we flipped the trailer over. This is a Norberg's quality trailer. You paid a lot of money for it back in 2006, and it is of quality. It's a Norberg quality, and it has a good resale value. The thing came as a dump trailer or tilt trailer, being as a utility trailer. I think we maybe used it once. I'm not sure. I don't even know why it's even hooked up. I should have welded it solid. Yes. But there's a problem with the wiring. Oh, back here. All right. So see a little pigtail wire sticking out in 2022 when we went to Winnipeg to visit Sir Rodney. We only had one taillight, so we just ran a wire across to the other side here. Got it done. So I think we need to improve that. But also too, we need to put the shield guards back on here because the rocks take out the wires. And the wires run into here, all the way up to here, and then jump across into the pipe, and then over here into the tilt. I think we're going to have to improve on that. Yes, improve. Let's, rewire it and wire it correctly to the standards of the King of Obsolete. Yes, the professional drinker who's getting everything ready for the estate sale. Yes, this will go good at the estate sale with both tail lights working. All right, let's go get some wires happening here. All right. Okay, 2:30 in the afternoon, and we got something accomplished. We pulled the pin and tilted the trailer. Look at that. I was Hercules. I lifted it all up by myself. I think we're going to strip this off. We don't need some combine parts or whatever, those rod weeders or something from the farm. I don't need that. That was a little spring thing back in the day, because this trailer was built in Glenboro, Manitoba, in the heart of farm country. So we got this here. That's garbage, everything like that. That's what we can save and recycle and repurpose one more time. The little plastic marker lights at the front didn't work and got smashed off with the rocks. I should have removed them, because now the piece of tubing is rusted away behind it. But that's no problem. We have the technology. We have the Hobart Handler 100 to correct that problem. All right, let's continue this quest. It's going rather well, I think. Okay, 3 o'clock in the kingdom, and we removed the chrome, or the fancy stuff, to make it the fancy trailer. Well, 20 years later, it was starting to rust out from the bottom up. So that's just amazing. Just glue that stuff on to make it look pretty, make it look like the fancy trailer, we've always called it. And look at this here. Yes. So it was rusting from the bottom down, but also too, we locked out in getting that crap removed. And with these marker lights at the front here, rusting it out, I was able to actually get in there with the big one, the big steel tube, and blow. Yes, we had to blow, and we were able to clean it out. So now we got this one in here. That's some old airlines and no safety valve on it. We have to be careful, and we can get the dirt to come out down there. So we're very pleased. So we got it clean. So now we can do some welding. We'll cover in these holes here and do some welding at the back, and then we can, how would you say, run the wires tomorrow. Yes, the colorblind guy is going to play with electrical wire. Oh well.
4:30, and this is the temperature we're sitting at right now at 17 degrees Celsius, which is 62 degrees Fahrenheit. We even have the feels like on the bottom. As you can see from my weather board, it is getting pretty windy out here right now. It's actually supposed to start raining at some point, so let's head inside and let the dogs out, get supper ready, and end my day.
Okay, 4:30 in the kingdom, and we're having a good production run. We got the angle iron bolted on, or welded on, and also too, this is our fire protection. All right, so I can start to pump and use this garden hose in case I set the wilderness on fire, just like the new mining company. All right, so we did the welds. Those are scrap pieces of metal or whatever from the steel shed, and they're that length because one was that length and I cut the other one to match. So we used the Hobart Handler 100 over here to do the welds, and over here, this is rusty, because this is where they had to cover up the joint or whatever. So you just use the feeder rod, okay? So once the trailers flip back over, we can do these welds here when it's upside right. But the main thing is, I want to get this done here so I can enclose the wire, or get the wire to feed through. All right, and we also took off that farm spring because it's rusted. If it fell off and went through the tire or through somebody's vehicle, how do we explain a farm piece of equipment at the end of the world? Yes, a piece of farm equipment fell off and went in. So I cut it off, made it look smooth, and back here, I'm not going to do, how would you say, enclose this or raise this up to protect the wires, because how do I get the wires? Okay, there's a reason why they designed it that way. So we're going to have to do the little adapter plate or little fish plate to bolt on afterwards, because that worked for 20 some years. It'll work again. So the main thing is I have to have access to get in here to get the wire. Very pleased how it's going, and we're remaining sober. So let's clean this mess up, and maybe we can have some victory drinks. Okay, 6 o'clock in the kingdom, we worked and we got it done. Yes, we had to work and get some paint splashed on, and I mean splashed on, because then tomorrow we can run some electrical wires in the little channels there. So we got them cleaned out. This worked out very well. We splashed the paint on, and that's the way it makes it last. I think it was in 2010 or 11 we changed that axle, because we went through too many wheel bearings. The last person who borrowed it and returned it really screwed up the axle stub. So we had to change the axle. And then we poured the paint in like we did here, and we had the hitch way up in the air to get both sides. So it'll last another 10 years or more. Very pleased, yes. And this is the way we do it. Back in 2010-11, a paint can like this, Tremclad or whatever, was $43. We thought that was outrageous. This one here, staff picked up in Thompson on last Friday. It was just over $100 with the taxes and everything. Welcome to Canada, eh? So we pour it on, get it in the grooves. That's what you want, in the grooves. Yes, in the grooves. And that will help it from rust away. Very pleased. And we got the paint in the grooves on the side here. We took the fancy chrome off, or whatever it was, aluminum. That works out good. And this is the way we do it. Punch a little holes around the top there with a nail, and keep your brush in there. That brush has got to be 3-4 years old. Keep moving it to the next can and keep going. We're very pleased. All right, let's put the tools away. For some reason, we seem to have a mess. Okay, very successful day, and the mine is that way with the fires that way. And guess which way the wind's blowing? That way. So it's a good thing they have the Huey helicopters of the Manitoba firefighting government out there fighting it. It's a sound you can know it's a firefighting helicopter, those Hueys, yes. So they'd be whop, whop, whop. Dick's little helicopter makes a totally different sound, but we got this done here today. The boss will be pleased. And look at the flags. As long as that wind stays down, WHO-ville and the kingdom will be safe. Unreal, those guys. All right, let's go walk the dogs, drink some beer, and make a video. Yes, and get the paint off our hands too. Yeah, for some reason. Oh well. Talk to you later.